After less than a year on the market, Apple's 13-inch MacBook Pro has been updated with Intel's Kaby Lake processors and a lower price. The only significant change between the 2016 and 2017 13-inch MacBook Pro is the addition of Kaby Lake, and we'll get into that in a bit. As with the late 2016 MacBook Pro, the 2017 MacBook Pro line is a continuation of the design language introduced with the 12-inch MacBook. Dimensionally, the two models are identical. The all-metal hinge that trumps the previous plastic hinge is still here, as is the love it or hate it revamped keyboard with the second-generation butterfly mechanism keys. We previously tested a base model late 2016 13-inch MacBook Pro. This year's entry-level MacBook Pro comes in $200 lower. For the money, purchasers get a faster clock Kaby Lake processor and faster RAM. Unfortunately, the base SSD storage has been shrunk to 128GB, presumably to hit the lower price point. For many users, this could be a problem given that the OS and accompanying apps take up to 30GB of that space. Comparing the machines in Geekbench 4, the new MacBook is 21% faster in single-core tasks and 30% faster in multi-core. This surprises us as typical CPU upgrades result in single-digit improvements. The performance boost is due to not only the architecture upgrade, but also a 300MHz base and 500MHz turbo boost clock speed increase. Even more interesting is that the $1,300 base MacBook Pro CPU is now 11 and 16% faster than the best processor available in the 2016 variant, which required spending at least $2,100. Keep in mind that these performance gains don't translate to every task, so for simple use, you may not notice a difference. Unfortunately, the double-digit CPU gains don't translate over to graphics processing, where we found a modest improvement of 5%. The relatively enormous Force Touch trackpad is the same size as before, as is the DCI-P3 IPS display featuring fantastic contrast and reflection combating 500 nits of brightness. Apple's speakers on the 2016 MacBook Pro line were underemphasized in our opinion, and they're easily one of the best on the market. Apple promises 10 hours of battery life as they usually do. Sure enough, we consistently hit that number while web surfing and performing simple tasks. More processor-intensive tasks like Photoshop and Premiere will chew through a MacBook Pro's battery life in just a few hours. Kaby Lake promises more efficiency, and we'll have to continue to look at this as time goes on. We're not going to hammer on Thunderbolt 3 in this review. If you read AppleInsider or watch us on YouTube, you'll know as the USB-C ecosystem expands, the speed of Thunderbolt 3 and flexibility of USB-C will become the new standard. If you feel like you'll need a lot of adapters, our suggestion is to buy a dock instead. If you've got a 2016 MacBook Pro without Touch Bar, there's really no need to jump ship for most. There are, however, a small group of users who need the portability of the 13-inch MacBook Pro over the 15, but also require more power for productivity. If that's you, the impressive performance increase of Kaby Lake may be enticing enough to upgrade. If you have an older machine and are ready to make the jump to USB-C, the value proposition in an upgraded 13-inch MacBook Pro is even better than it was. Apple cut that corner to reduce the price to $1299, and unless you practically live in the cloud, 128GB is not enough storage, so if you're buying, make sure to spring for that extra space. For more reviews, news, and how-tos, check out AppleInsider.com and subscribe to Apple Insider on YouTube.